My name's Len Patterson. I called myself a bridge boy in the 60s. I, at the time, was 16, 17, pretty much unemployed, working class lad from a council housing estate. And we all used to go up Chelsea Bridge 7 nights a week. We'd meet there and then we strike out from there wherever we was going to go. But the highlight of the week was definitely the 59 Club.
I'm Fr Graham Hullett. I'm a priest, obviously. And I was a biker. I'd started in the army with a bike, and then when I was ordained, when I could afford it, the first thing I did was buy a motorbike. I've worked with young people all my life. I've hardly ever worked in a parish, but I am retired now. When people ask me my age, I say I'm not telling you because I might start feeling it.
Graham was always perceived by, not just me, by everyone. When I say everyone, all my oily mates, as being one of us. Although he wore a dog collar, he was approachable. You could talk to him. I don't ever remember him once talking about God or religion to me. And he just had a way about him which you knew you was dealing with a proper bloke. If you excuse it, the South London accent, he was a real geezer. And we was very fortunate to have someone like that to bounce our problems and everything off with. There was a lad that had shot someone. He stuck an axe in someone's head. He weren't the most pleasant of people if you got on the wrong side of him, but he had a tremendous amount of respect for Graham, and that's just one example. For me, Father Graham's intervention in my life was very profound. His goodness and what it done for me on a personal level, I've never forgotten it, and I've always wanted to do something for him.
And Len, you then came up with this idea, a way of thanking Father Graham for everything that he'd done for you, when you took him to the motor show in Birmingham a couple of years ago.
We was walking around, Father Graham saw the Royal Enfield stand, made a beeline for it, and when I looked round, Graham's sitting on the bike, pulling the clutch in and opening the throttle, and when I said to him, "Are you still got an anchor in for bikes?" he said, "I'd love to get another bike, simply can't afford one, but I'd love to." And that's where the seed was sown. We looked at various ways of raising enough money to do the evil deed. And the simplest way, I figured, was to get 59 people in the 59 Club to put £59 together, and that would give us enough money to buy Father Graham the bike and then all the equipment and the insurance and everything he needs to get him back on the road again so he could then be one of us again.
Now, Father Graham has absolutely no idea that he's about to be presented with a bike, which is hidden in one of the sheds just over there. And all the members of the 59 Club are now about to go off and hide in another of the sheds here, while Father Graham thinks that he's simply on a tour of the Royal Enfield workshops.
Have you finished in there, Graham, or shall I lock it?
Come on, Graham, we'll have a look at these bikes.
Yeah, come on, let's give you a bit of a walk around. Come and have a quick look through the workshop.
What is it about bikes?
It's the exhilaration, but more than that, there's the tremendous fellowship of the road. And when you meet with a biker, if you're in trouble, he's there to help, and you're there to help, and you do everything together. There are no barriers. It's quite incredible. And they were absolutely straight and simple with us, and we were with them. They were just as genuine as we were. And there was no pretense, no acting. We were all bikers together, just accepting them, and the word is love, really. We loved them.
Look at this. That's a gold wing, on the gold wing with one of our sidecars on, which that's a sort of modern sidecar. That's what you get if you want to spend £25,000-30,000.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, right.
How we was identified in them days was by a leather jacket, but our leather jacket was our soul. Consequently, you weren't welcome in a lot of places because of your leather. What the 59 Club gave you was a place to go to where you was welcome. It was like home from home. It was better than home because at home you had the restrictions of your parents, because in the 60s there was still a lot of discipline and respect and principles floating around. And we was pretty much bucking the trend at that time. So the 59 Club was a place where you could go and just be yourself and have some really good times and meet like-minded people from all social levels. It weren't just like a tearaways and yobs and later on Hells Angels. There was lads that got on university colleges there, and there was kids on apprenticeships, and there was people like myself. I guess I was a yob in them days.
Len wasn't just a yob. There was a lot to Len, and I knew it from the moment he first came to the club, but there were a lot of people like him, but he was quite exceptional. He was thoroughly reliable. You knew whenever you wanted something done, you just had to just talk to him. But really, it was just because Len was Len. Yes, he was hard. Yes, he was down at Chelsea Bridge. Yes, he was all over. He crippled me once. He used to wear winkle pickers. And as I walked past, he flicked his shoe at me, and it hit the nerve ending in my thigh, and I was crippled for days. But I still liked him, and I still do. I used to tell people at the time that when they were condemning all these young rockers, I used to say, if these people had been alive 20 years ago, they would have been Spitfire pilots and bomber pilots saving your country. And they're exactly the sort of people who were doing that.
My personal story on Father Graham, I think it was about 1967. I'm about to tell you something that Graham doesn't know it as well now. I was with a girl I just chatted up upstairs in the 59 Club, and there was one of the other lads there who was obnoxious, and he got on the wrong side of me, and I bashed him. As he fell on the floor, I picked a chair up and threw it at him because of what the things he said and the way he dealt with me. So I threw a chair at him, and unfortunately, I broke a jugular vein. I knocked him out, and he was laying on the floor twitching. I thought I killed him, and with each twitch, there was I wouldn't be exaggerating now, there was a 3-foot fountain of blood coming out of his head. I thought I killed him, and Graham sorted that for me. But what he didn't know was that year, my nan died, and my brother died, and he drowned in the River Thames, and it was a tragic accident and everything. My mother was in the Auxiliary Fire Brigade, and she had a nervous breakdown, and that was a year that I'd done that. I'd already been nicked for threatening behaviour, an actual bodily harm, and had that gone to court, that would have tipped the balance. My life would have probably been totally different. Certainly would have affected my mother tremendously. And up until this point now, Graham is not aware of that. He hadn't realised what he'd done. The next night I saw him, he came up to me and said, "Don't worry about that, everything's going to be okay." And I mean, you know, being a proper lad and that, you know, I was... But what I wanted to do inside was just grab hold of him and hug him, you know, because he couldn't have realised just how much it meant to me. And I was worried the whole week because my mother was, you know, she was in a terrible state.
How did you manage to get Len off?
It's lost in the excitement of it, but I just jumped in and reacted so quickly that I can't really remember what I did, but we obviously did the right thing.
Was the guy all right, though, in the end?
Yes, he was.
And then 2 or 3 years later, he lent me the equivalent of 2 weeks' wages to go see the Isle of Man TT. And the reason he'd done that, all my mates were going there. And when he asked me if I was going, I said, no, I'm out of work, I haven't got any money. So he said, well, I'll lend you the money. I said, I can't afford to pay you back. So he gave me the money, basically. He said, you pay me back when you want. And I went over there, and being a red-blooded lad at the time, the week was just fantastic. I met a couple of girls there, done all that kind of stuff, had a brilliant holiday. And when I got back to them in flats in Battersea, the engine virtually fell out of its frame. It was as exhausted as I was. It was just a fantastic time. And I've been forever grateful, eternally grateful.
Have you ever paid him back?
Yes.
Yes.
I did. It took me 2 years, but I paid him back.
That is the really original, traditional black gold paint. That's the sort of bullet that is so close to the 1955 machine, which they've been making in India for so long.
Lovely thing, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
I was definitely at a point in my life where I could have taken a left fork or the right fork. And because of Graham's intervention at that time, I took the right road. Life's pretty good. I've run a successful specialised motorcycle cylinder head business. I've got 3 beautiful children and a lovely wife. But had I gone down the other road, there's lots of bad things to get involved in at that time if you wanted to. And I've always wanted to do something for him.
Well, finally we've got to that moment. Father Graham has got to the door of the shed, which conceals all the members of the 59 Club and the bike. And the doors are now opening.
Oh dear, I've never been crossed like that before. I didn't know this was happening.
Can we have a bit of ash, please? Hello? Hello? Can we have a bit of ash, please? I've just got a special announcement, mate. Father Graham, on behalf of all your friends, this is your new motorbike. Come and sit on it.
I'm totally overwhelmed, and I can't thank you for your gratitude. Your gratitude is amazing, and all those who've done all this work for it. We're not naming any names, but whatever he says, and however much everybody has done everything, and you've all given it, I bet it wouldn't have happened without Len, of course. I'm speechless. I cannot get over the generosity and the excitement. The excitement of bursting through those double doors was overwhelming. And there were hundreds of people I knew, and this bike, and I just couldn't believe it. I'm still speechless over their generosity. I'm totally overwhelmed by it, utterly overwhelmed, and I still am.
My name's Len Patterson. I call myself a bridge boy in the 60s. I, at the time, was 16, 17, pretty much unemployed, working class lad from a council housing estate. And we all used to go up Chelsea Bridge 7 nights a week.